Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast powered by Carolina Electrical Services. For all your electrical needs, call Jacob Marlowe at 704-320-7357, and he'll make sure to take care of those once he gets back from his vacation. Josh and Anthony here with you as always. Today we're going to break down the 81-59 win that moved Carolina into the Sweet 16 for the fourth time in the last 5 years. I was unable to watch the game because of work, but Anthony, I know you were there locked and loaded watching the whole game, so I want your analyst from the win that moved Carolina to the Sweet 16.
Disgraceful that you weren't able to watch the game, by the way. I'm heartbroken about that. But I was giving you insight over the phone, so there you go. My play-by-play analysis of what was going on in the game. It was probably the best game that you could hope for against a Washington Huskies team that, played very well against a Utah State team that many thought could possibly go deep in the tournament. Thought Carolina did a really good job of getting to those points that they needed to get to in the zone. I mean, again, Luke May is just a guy that he knows how to play against the zone better than just about any Tar Heel basketball player I think we've ever seen. He knows the spots that he has to get to, and he knocks down the shots when he gets there. And he did it again, 20 and 14, just an unbelievable performance from him. And, again, 8 of 19, people are going to say, well, it really wasn't that efficient. But I think at this point, we've kind of learned that that's kind of what Luke May has become. He's not that guy that's going to go out there and shoot lights out. He's going to have some of those moments where he's not going to be able to hit those shots because he's still taking a ton of those tough turnaround jump shots, those ones where he's fading away, but he knocks down a good amount of them. So I thought for the most part, Carolina did what they had to do. Kenny Williams, I thought, was fantastic against a guy in Jalen Noel who was expected to have a good game if Washington was going to win. Held them to 12 points. That's their leading scorer, and no one else was really able to have that great of a day. Carolina really had a great day on the boards once again, too, and I think that's just kind of that pretty much reads you the story right there. I mean, Carolina did exactly what they needed to do, exactly what we talked about coming in, and they've come away with an 81-59 victory and continue what's been, arguably the most impressive stretch of basketball at the college level over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I really thought this was probably the most complete game we've seen them play since the Duke win on senior night. They had the struggles in the ACC tournament, and of course the Iona game was a tale of two halves. I'm with you. I thought Luke May was sensational. I thought he was, and we talked about it when we previewed that we expected him to bounce back because that's who Luke May is. Mm-hmm. He did just that. Kobe White was good again, 17 points, very efficient from the field. Had some stuff. He hit a tough step back three that had Jones Angel freaking out because I saw and I was like, good Lord. In the corner, everything like that, just a really tough shot. Mm-hmm. And I think we got to talk about Nazir Little. 20 points off the bench, 39 points in the two games, the first weekend of the tournament. That's the best two-game production we've seen from him all year long. And, of course, it's coming at the right time. I
think he's arguably been the best player in that region so far. I mean, you can make the argument with some of the guys that we've seen. Bryce Brown from Auburn has had a fantastic start to the tournament as well. Luke May, you could maybe make an argument for him. But Nazir Little, this is a guy that, really, like you said, we just hadn't seen this type of stretch from him. We'd seen a couple of good back-to-back games, which was maybe 18 points combined, and, giving us some good rebounding numbers and some good minutes off the bench. This has just been totally different from him. He's gotten out on fast breaks and has been phenomenal. And then I thought the best thing that he did against Washington was he was kind of looking at what Luke May was doing from the bench and really realizing that, hey, if I get to certain spots on the floor, I'm going to be able to be successful. I thought he did a really good job of getting into the middle of the lane. And, he's a guy that struggled with his jump shot, and I think he knows that. And so instead of popping the jumper like Luke did and like we saw Garrison do a couple of times, he was able to go inside and, fight through contact to finish at the rim. 20 points for him, 7 rebounds. This guy has suddenly turned into the guy that we talked about beforehand, specifically you, that we needed in this tournament. And he has become exactly that. Anybody that's arguing differently really just isn't paying attention right now. And, it's great to see a guy that really, for the most part, had his, quote, struggles. I think it was more of the fact that the expectations were so high and he wasn't quite living up to those lofty expectations in some people's eyes. I think he's responded. And, I mean, the one thing, the reason that I know his confidence level is up, he hit that three-pointer in the corner. And, I mean, that's probably the purest stroke that I've seen on any of his jump shots the entire season. And so you can see that he's feeling it, and that's something that should really excite Tar Heel fans at this time, and especially to have a sixth man that's doing that. This isn't even a guy that's in the starting lineup. Now you got six guys that really any night could probably come out and score 15 to 20 easily. So I'm real encouraged by what I'm seeing from him so far in this tournament.
Yeah, he gave us 39 points between the Iona and Washington games. Those combined 17 to 24 from the field. So he's being effective, but more importantly, being efficient. That kind of covers up the inefficiencies of a Luke May when your bench guy comes in and gives you that production, but is also not taking a lot of shots to get the points scored. One thing we got to discuss is Garrison Brooks and the toughness he displayed yesterday after getting absolutely mauled, and a no call at that, and then to come back with a broken tooth, a missing tooth, stitches all up in his lip, in a game that, you know, even though Carolina's only up 8, the game kind of felt like it was Carolina's to lose, so they had their hands on it. And he still came out there and played, and just, I think he's gotten a lot of crap from the fan base that's gone that hasn't been willing.
Right.
And I hope yesterday we were learning to respect what he's doing, because he's a really big part of what this team's doing, especially defensively.
You could see when he was out of the game for a while that Noah Dickerson, right? He was effective. I mean, he was inside. And when Garrison came back in, he sort of settled things down. And I just don't think we can state enough how important this guy is to the defensive flow of this team. Everybody always wants to talk about how great of a defender Kenny Williams is, and rightfully so, because he's a phenomenal defender. We're still sitting here asking ourselves how he wasn't on the all-defensive team for the ACC. But when you look at Garrison Brooks, this is a guy that really has just taken a massive step from last year. He just continues to progress. And you said it to me the other night when we were watching the Iona game. This kid's just going to get better and better. And we know he has to. He seems like the guy that's going to step up and be able to handle that type of pressure and become that guy that Carolina needs in the future. Right now, he's not really needed to be that guy that is going to be a scoring threat inside. He's really that guy that's a glue guy that's there to make sure that you protect the paint. And he's done a phenomenal job at that. I don't need any validation for that. I knew that from watching him play in that ACC semifinal against Zion Williamson. I thought he handled his own for most of the night. But, you know, I think some people are still kind of out on him, and I think this might have been one of the moments, because I thought it was a foul. Some people say it wasn't. No, Chris Webber, that's the only person on the face of the planet that didn't think that was a foul. But, you know, he fought his way back into the game, and Kenny Williams did the same. Kenny Williams had, you know, where he came off with the hamstring injury and was able to get back out there. Now, it looked like it may have just been cramping, but we don't really know. But those are two guys that know that, look, we're here for one goal, and that's to win a championship. If we have to go through some adversity to get there, we're going to have to go through it. But they're guys that want to be out there and fight to get their way back on the court. And, you know, both of those guys should receive the utmost respect from Carolina fans. So, you know, I'm proud of what I'm seeing from Garrison. I think he's a guy that's only going to get better as we go along, and he's a key piece for this team if they're wanting to win a national championship.
Two more things before we get out of here. One, Carolina out-rebounded Washington, or they doubled them up on the rebounding, 48-24. And this is coming after they doubled up Iona Friday night, 52-26. I don't have a stat, but I think it'd be hard-pressed you'd find a team that doubled up their first two opponents on the glass, their first two games. The rebounding effort of this team, when they had the size limitations, Garrison's not a natural rebounder and all this, is just something that I think I've never seen from Carolina. Like, we know when we had Meeks and Hicks and those guys, they were natural rebounders, and they would willingly go rebound. These guys just do it because if they know if we don't, we're not going to win. It's just seeing all the guys now focus. Like you said, Nazir gave you 7 off the bench. Kobe had 6, and then Kenny had 4. Guards that rebound, have a special place in my heart. It's just something that it still surprises me, even though we're the best rebound team in the country. And as we go to the Auburn game, they're going to need that because Auburn struggles defensively rebounding the ball. So really just impressed to see that kind of stat. And then lastly, on the negative side, the 15 turnovers I think wouldn't be as much a problem if the next opponent didn't thrive on forcing turnovers. And as far as I'm concerned, the way it was made out in yesterday's game was a lot of the turnovers we had were those unnecessary, stupid passes, silly plays, and that's going to have to be eliminated by Friday night.
Yeah, well, first with the rebounding, what I find sensational is look at the 48 just from this game against Washington. Only 8 of those came from Garrison Brooks and Cam Johnson, who are 2 of the guys that we kind of thought needed to be those big-time rebounders early in the season. That's kind of been pushed to the back burner with the fact that you got Kobe White, who's been rebounding very well. You saw Nazir Little, 21 minutes played and 7 rebounds. That's really good. And then, you even see guys like Brandon Robinson showing up with 2 rebounds. Leaky Black having 2 rebounds. 2 rebounds in just 3 minutes played for Leaky. So I think the fact that everybody is kind of bought into this mindset of if we rebound, then we're going to give ourselves a really good chance to win. I think that's been the difference. And you always go back to it really throughout this season, and I think this is one of the moments that you have to go back to it. That Louisville game, I feel like, changed everything because they were dominated on the glass by Louisville. And after that, I cannot think of a game where we've been beaten on the glass, or even if we have been beaten statistically, we still had a good enough night. Most of the time, the reason that we don't get rebounds is a team shoots that well. But I can't, you can't argue with the rebounding, but yeah, you can argue a little bit with the turnovers. And part of it was there were a few times where Kobe got a little out of control, trying to go up the floor a little too fast, I felt like. I think you wonder, Auburn thrives off of that. You wonder what the game plan is to try to keep them from being that effective. My thinking would be, you wonder if the offense is going to slow down just a little bit if there's nothing there, as opposed to trying to always go 100 miles an hour like they were doing in that second half against Iona and against Washington, because they frankly just didn't have the talent to keep up. Auburn is a really talented team. It's not going to be easy against Auburn, but you're right. The turnovers, I thought it was much better in the second half, because in the first half we turned it over 10 times. That can't happen. Cannot happen. So I'm not overly concerned with it because they seem to have themselves under control. Defensively, they're playing just so much better than early in the season when they were turning the ball over and allowing teams to convert on those turnovers. So, it'll be interesting to see what Roy has as a game plan to try and take away those opportunities, because like you said, Auburn thrives on them, but they're a weird transition team. They're not looking to go to the basket. They're looking to get out on the fast break and kick it out for a 3. So we'll see. Carolina's got a tough road ahead of them. Everybody's been talking about it. Just because Kansas is out, we don't have to play them in Kansas City in their backyard, but you got to play an Auburn team that's won an SEC championship and is thriving, and then possibly Houston or Kentucky in order to get to the Final Four. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, all right, so that's it. That's the recap on Washington. We'll have a full preview of Auburn later in the week. Looking at Wednesday will be the day we look down and really break down the matchup with the Auburn Tigers. You know where to find the Roy's Boys podcast at: Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and the podcast media, or the blog Medium, Facebook, and Twitter. I want to thank you guys for joining me today, and Anthony for joining me. Go Tar Heels.